And she has destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's an execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President.
Virginia's late-term abortion bill is gaining international attention.
It would allow terminations at any point during pregnancy, including up until the point of childbirth.
Today, politicians are sounding off even in Europe. We want to know your thoughts. You can vote on 13newsnow.com/vote.
13 News Now reporter Jacqueline Lee joins us in the studio with the latest on this.
Janet, both Governor Ralph Northam and House Speaker Kurt Cox held press conferences today responding to the backlash surrounding Delegate Kathy Tran's bill, which would ease abortion restrictions in Virginia. The controversy first started from this video. Delegate Tran defending her bill that would loosen abortion requirements in the Commonwealth.
Through the 3rd trimester. The 3rd trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay, but to the end of the 3rd trimester.
Yep, I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
Right now, late-term abortions are allowed under Virginia law if 3 physicians certify the pregnancy substantially and irremediably threatens the woman's life and health. Tran's bill would only require 1 physician to certify the abortion and removes the substantially and irremediably requirement. Facing harsh backlash, Governor Northam went on a radio show stating that Tran's comments were blown out of proportion. He added that politicians shouldn't interfere with a woman's right to choose.
The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother.
Governor Northam faced backlash of his own, accused of supporting infanticide by conservative leaders.
Words have meaning. You saw the tape. I think he was very clear in what he said. And I think that was very disturbing.
Conservative leaders across the state are warning that if Democrats flip the House in November, a bill like this could become law.
Vice President Harris, want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America.
Virginia's governor says he has no regrets on his comments earlier this week defending abortion, even as a baby is being born. In a news conference yesterday, Ralph Northam said Democrats believe legislatures, most of whom are men, should not be making decisions about women's choices for their reproductive health. We have team coverage tonight, including White House correspondent Mark Irons with the reaction from one of President Trump's closest advisors. But we begin with Capitol Hill correspondent Jason Calvi, who tells us what pro-life lawmakers are doing to fight for the unborn. Jason?
Wyatt, national outrage erupted after New York's abortion law and the failed bill in Virginia. Pro-life leaders say it shows just how radical abortion supporters are. And they hope to use this issue to persuade the country to vote pro-life in 2020. Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska wants action now.
This is infanticide that we're talking about.
Republican Ben Sasse blasts Governor Ralph Northam of Virginia for supporting a bill in his state that would have allowed abortion up until and during birth.
We're talking about a little baby girl who's been born and is on a table in a hospital or a medical facility, and then a decision or a debate would be had about whether or not you could kill that little baby.
Sasse noted it's the biggest debate in the country over the last couple of days. But yesterday, Democrats claimed they hadn't heard Governor Northam's comments.
I'm sorry, I just don't know what he said yesterday.
Here's what Virginia's governor did say.
The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mothers.
Now, Senator Sasse is fast-tracking his bill to protect children who survive abortions.
Everyone in the Senate ought to be able to say unequivocally that killing that little baby is wrong. This doesn't take any political courage. And if you can't say that, if there's a member of this body that can't say that, there may be lots of work you can do in the world, but you shouldn't be here.
And pro-life groups will try to oust pro-abortion lawmakers, including in Virginia.
They overplayed their hand, they pulled back the curtain, and they showed Virginians and they showed the entire United States of America what the abortion lobby is really about.
Virginia's Republican majority leader says it's a warning.
They have now been exposed in what they believe and the things they embrace and the legislation they would clearly advance if they had the opportunity.
Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia, his office says he did not support the failed abortion bill, but he wouldn't comment on the controversy surrounding Governor Northam's words. Senator Ben Sasse's proposal would punish doctors who don't treat infants surviving abortions. The House passed the same bill in 2018. Only 6 Democrats voted for it. Wyatt?
Jason, I understand Catholic leaders across the nation have been condemning the failed Virginia bill.
That's right. Archbishop Joseph Naumann, who's in charge of the U.S. Bishops' pro-life committee, he says it's shocking.
This part of the debate with J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, it was, again, a lot of fireworks between them. But I will say, and we're going to unpack this more, I think there was a big missed opportunity on J.D. Vance's side. And Tim Walz, of course, was doubling down on his support of abortion. Tragically and unfortunately, you're going to see some of that doubling down, not for life, but even for abortion on J.D. Vance's side. We're going to unpack all of this here and watch it together. So let's start with the clip here from the debate. You're going to hear the moderator ask the question, and we're going to go into first comments from Walz and Vance on life.
Nora?
Thank you. Now to the issue of reproductive rights. Governor Walz, after Roe versus Wade was overturned, you signed a bill into law that made Minnesota one of the least restrictive states in the nation when it comes to abortion. Former President Trump said in the last debate that you believe abortion, quote, in the 9th month is absolutely fine. Yes or no? Is that what you support? I'll give you 2 minutes.
That's not what the bill says, but look, this issue is what's on
Okay, let's pause here already. So I really actually appreciated the moderator doing this because it was an honest moment that the moderator had to question Tim Walz on his incredible and horrific support of abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy, even to the point of depriving abortion survivors, children who survive abortion attempts, of medical care. So immediately Tim Walz says that's not true. He just pretends it's not true. But let's actually look at the law that Tim Walz supported that is doing what the moderator is saying that it did, which is supporting abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy to the point of leaving abortion survivors to die. So let's pull up this document here. You guys, we're going to pull it up here in the studio so you can see what I'm reading from. But this is the evidence that shows, the data that shows that the Minnesota statute in 2022, well, Tim Walz was governor and remains governor, obviously, to this day, Section 145-423, how he amended it in order to read that born alive survivors after an abortion attempt would be deprived medical care. All right, so let me know if you guys can see this. Here we go, the Born Alive Infants Protection Act report. As you guys can see, this is up here. And this is from the Department of Health in the state of Minnesota. So we're reading, from their 2022 report, evaluating how abortions were done in the state. And this is from the state's own report that we're looking at here. So it says the 2015 Minnesota legislature enacted the Born Alive Infants Protection Act. It goes on to say that this text was amended because what Governor Walz did was amended the text in order to deprive, for the calendar year, it says, in order to deprive these children of life-saving medical care. It says for the calendar year of January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, so in one calendar year, 5 abortion procedures resulted in a born alive infant. In one instance, fetal anomalies were reported resulting in death after delivery. No measures were taken to help the infant, and the infant did not survive. In instant 2, comfort care measures were provided. The infant did not survive. So just so you know here, comfort care measures could be as simple as putting a blanket over that baby instead of helping that baby breathe or giving that baby food. All right? According to whistleblower reports, where some of these born alive babies are left to die, the babies are left in maybe an operating room on a steel table, put a blanket over them, and they can take sometimes up to a day or 2 to die because they're just left there. It's obviously medical neglect. They're not meeting their basic needs. So the pro-abortion side would like to say, well, these babies were going to die anyways. If you refuse to feed them or help them breathe, yes, the babies will die, but they deserve assistance, basic medical assistance, especially when they've just been through a horrific attempt on their life that they survived, a late-term abortion. It says, in 2 instances, the infant was pre-viable. No measures were taken to preserve life, and the infant did not survive. I think it's also important to note here that babies have survived as early as 21 weeks, 5 days with medical care. And tragically, a lot of hospitals, especially if they're going to be doing an abortion on the baby, they want to kill the baby anyways, are not going to be providing that NICU care, that neonatal intensive care for the child, because they're just going to leave the baby to die. So ultimately, 5 babies were not given medical care under Tim Walz's leadership, and they were deprived medical care under his leadership because they failed to protect babies who survive abortion attempts. This should not surprise us, though, because Tim Walz's record is in support of abortion through all 9 months for any reason. His own law in his state says that abortion can be permitted provided a doctor signs off on it. That would be the abortionist who's making thousands of dollars on the abortion, can be permitted and is elective for up to the woman's decision. If she decides it's best for herself and her health, and the abortionist decides, they can do that abortion. As you know, this idea of a woman's health can be used to justify any abortion, provided the woman wants it: economic health, relational health, emotional health. And again, as long as that abortionist signs off, which they do, that late-term abortion up to the 9th month of pregnancy is legal, is permitted. We've had undercover investigators at Live Action go into some of these late-term abortion clinics nationally and say, can I have an abortion? It's for my emotional health or my relational health. I want this abortion. They're 6 months, 7 months pregnant. And the abortion staff say, of course you can. We'll sign off on it. And in fact, in some of the clinics, they were saying and admitting to fabricating fetal anomalies. So they would lie on the paperwork and say that there were fetal defects in order to further justify the abortion on the books. But the point here stands that these babies, viable babies, are being killed legally by abortion in Tim Walz's own state under his watch, and he permits that.